Welcome to Cozy Coven Chats with Jenny C. Bell, where we explore the journey of the witch. Welcome to another Cozy Coven Chat. I am your host, Jenny C. Bell, and this is for the week of February 8th. And we just had Imbolc, and we're still kind of in that energy. And we're in that in-between kind of space of, between winter and spring. Here it's been, where I live in Southern Oregon, unseasonably warm, and it feels, it's inducing anxiety, like in a lot of people, just because we have a really intense fire season here, and everything's so dry right now. So looks like some kind of snow or rain is possibly coming. I hope it's true, because the other day it was 70 degrees. Like, it's just, I've been going outside and sitting in the sun and soaking it up, but it's unnatural. It doesn't feel right, so I don't know. It's pretty wild. There are a lot of really intense things going on in the world, especially where I live in the United States. There's a lot of crazy weather patterns. There's really intense news that is disturbing and disheartening, and I want you to know I'm not unaware of that stuff. But the intention of this podcast is to be uplifting, to be a light, to help people hold on to hope, and to help people tune in to the earth and the seasons and live a slower, simpler life, no matter what's going on around them. And I've talked about this before, but, just because there's really intense things going on doesn't mean you can't fill your cup. In fact, it's all the more a reason for you to practice self-care, whatever that looks like for you to nourish yourself, to fill your cup, to get together with friends, to celebrate your birthday, all of those things. Because when we lose hope and we let ourselves get overwhelmed and give in to the heaviness, we sometimes fall silent. And then when we fall silent, sometimes we feel like giving up and we feel apathetic. And then the other narrative wins. And we really, I think it's radical, and I think it's a form of resistance to take care of yourself during these times. And I think it's part of the practice, the spiritual practice. Is part of, being a witch has always been political, being a witch has always been subversive. And we cannot, I say this all the time, but we cannot pour from empty cups. Like, we cannot just let ourselves be on the news cycle 24 hours a day and just be worried, because again, worry doesn't help anybody. Like, you being in a constant state of worry and anxiety doesn't help fix anything. In fact, it's bad for you, it's bad for everybody else. So if you can take time out of that to rebalance and find harmony in yourself, and take time out for self-care and take time out to focus on some positive things, it'll really help you survive what you're going through. I just put out a Substack about this. By the way, if you're not following me on Substack, look me up. The podcast is on there, but I've decided I'm going to write more from my heart. Put poetry on there. I'm going to talk about witchcraft, of course. But I'm going to talk more about personal stories as well, things that I don't have another place to share. I'm treating it sort of like a blog. And so if you're interested in like me outside of the podcast, that's a great place to do that. Also, joining our coven, I'm keeping the sale going. So if you go on my website, jennycbell.com, it's the first thing. It's like a pop-up window, and it tells you the code to try it for a month for half price. And I decided to keep it going because I just want people to have a safe place to land and feel like they can afford that safe place to land. We've have some new members from the podcast, which is lovely. And it's a positive place. So let's first talk about the card. We're still using Arcana Folia, which is a very beautiful oracle deck. I did post a video on all of my socials sharing it, and I've been using it consistently. Like every day, I pull 2 tarot cards. I've been using my Mother Peace Tarot. I just really love that one. It's very personal. I don't really use it for other people, and it belonged to somebody else, and I can feel good energy. It's a good energy on it. And it's an original from like 1983, so it's almost as old as me. So I've been pulling 2 cards a day from there. I pull what's an energy that's leaving, and then I pull what's an energy that's coming in, and then I pull 1 or 2 from the Arcana Folia just for like, what else do I need to know for the day? So our card for the week it's a really cute little mouse or rat. And it's in a wreath of flowers, and it says sneaky person, a person with a questionable moral compass. And I can't help but think about our country and the leadership here when I see that. And if you disagree with me, that's fine. I usually don't get political here, but I can't help but like look at that card and think that. But there could be someone else in your personal life that is a little questionable. And if you start to see that, if you're like, at work or in a friend group and you're like, this person's like a little off, or they're asking me like these really leading questions and why, or why are they sharing this on their social media, whatever, treat it as what it is. Like your intuition's telling you something's off. I don't know how many times I had to learn the lesson to listen to my intuition with people, because I would, especially with coworkers, I would get to a new school because I was a teacher, and I'd meet people, and you always have a first impression. And a lot of times I would just override that first impression, just thinking like, that wasn't fair of me to think this person's like that, and then just be proven right later on. And being like, why didn't I listen to my intuition? So if you're having a situation like that, this could be that. But it could also just be like, it's around Valentine's Day. It could be a positive. It could be someone's hiding a gift from you. We can think positively. I actually have these, I think they're called jumping or flying mice. They're native to Southern Oregon, and they have been going in our bird feeder, and they're really cute. They're like, there's a family. My kids are like, it's mom, dad, and a baby, because it's like a bigger one, a medium-sized one, and a small one. And they are in love with them. And they'll come in after the birds eat, and they'll take what's left. And then they jump into the bushes, and they like fly. It's really cool. So I immediately saw the card, and I'm like, oh, our little mouse family. Like, I didn't think of it as a negative. And then I was like, well, what does it mean collectively? And kind of shared what I thought there. A couple of things. We'll talk about the energy of the week and stuff, but I wanted to share that I am an occasional guest on a really fun YouTube show called Witches Movie Coven. And if you go on YouTube and either search Witches Movie Coven and go to that channel, or you go to Patty Negri's YouTube, you'll find it. And it's live every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific time. And it's just a really good time. It's like, they're really a thoughtful group of people, and they're really kind, and they're really entertaining. And then sometimes somebody is absent for some reason, and they will say, hey, do you want to come on and chit chat? I was just on Wicked for Good, that panel of discussion, and it ended up turning to be kind of a heavy, serious conversation, but I think it was really needed. So I totally suggest watching that one. I was also on the Stranger Things episode, partly because 2 of the people didn't get through like the whole season, all the seasons. And so it's fun. I kind of, when I'm on there, everyone kind of has a role on the show. So I put on my literature major English teacher cap, and I always want to talk about the deeper meaning or the symbolism of a color. I take it a little like serious, and ask a question or something, but it's really entertaining. It's really fun. Like I said, they're a really good group of people that are on there. I've been on there with other like substitutes or guests, and I've been on there with the regulars, and all of them are just really sweet. The people that produce it and put it together are really kind. It's just been a really good experience. And they have a website, it's Mystery Control, and they have like a little merch to go with it. It's been really nice because, you know, this podcast is solo, and most of what I do is alone and at home. Like, I write books, that's a solo activity. I do a solo podcast. I write solo Substacks. I make solo social media posts. Like, everything is by myself, and I work from home, and it can get a little tedious, a little boring. And so it's really good to like get on at 5:50 and chat with people, and, you know, never know where the conversation is going to go because it's live, nothing's scripted, and it's really a good time. So highly recommend it if you are a movie fan, or you're just like looking for live shows. Like, we don't really have that on television anymore, like live TV. Everyone comes from a different perspective, and yeah, it's been really fun. It's good to be a part of something sometimes, you know what I mean? To collaborate and be a part of something. Speaking of that, I am really excited. I'm going to my first witchy conference. This is something that has been on my goal list, and there's one near me. So there's something called Spirit Northwest, and if you go to spiritnorthwest.com, you can learn more. And it's in Portland, which isn't too far of a drive for me. And it's at the end of April. It's actually the last days on my birthday. And I will get to teach. I'm a presenter. I'm presenting about how to, basically I'm going to, in the hour and a half, teach people how to create their own spells and rituals. We're going to look at correspondences, and it's going to be very hands-on. There'll be like worksheets for you. There is going to be like a horror movie screening. There is like a mixer. Lots of cool presenters and classes to choose from. The schedule's out. So anyway, I highly recommend if you are in the area or you're looking for an excuse to travel. Portland's really fun. I know it's been getting some bad press, but my husband was just there when all of that was first in the news, and he didn't see anything. Like, it was fine. People in Portland are very resilient. But, you know, that's the home of Powell's Books, which is amazing. I want to visit Seagrape Apothecary, and there's lots of good thrift stores. So, yeah, just a really fun place to visit. Really fun food, big into food trucks there. Lots of vegan, vegetarian options if you're into that. So I'll be there. I also wanted to talk about, in our coven, we are focusing on dreams. And so I will be having a class on dream interpretation. The coven voted between dream interpretation or lucid dreaming, like what kind of class they wanted, and the majority was dream interpretation. So we're going to have a little class on that. We also have a self-love challenge. We've been doing these week-long challenges that are usually photo challenges. This one's a little different this time, where we just go with a theme, and it all started with like a Halloween, basically like a whole month of October Witchtober challenge, and then we've been doing them since. And it's just a really good way to connect. There's a live chat in there, and so it's a way to get to know other members and connect with them and show up. And, you know, I think hey, it's Jenny interrupting myself to invite you to join my private, cozy, and international community, our Coven. We are an inclusive community off of main social media dedicated to learning and growing as witches. To learn more, please go to jennycbell.com. It's hard right now to make connection, and I think it's very draining to be on regular social media. So it's like we're trying to do things that are positive and give you a way to share about yourself in a neutral place, a place where no one's really judging you. So I have that going on. We have Friday the 13th, which is so fun. It's a sacred day to Freya. So Freya is a Norse goddess. My favorite thing about Freya is that it has a chariot that's pulled by cats, which goals, amazing. And she is just she's in my card deck, my Cosmic Creator card deck. And the thing I really loved about her and I talked about is that she is multifaceted. Like so many times women get pigeonholed as like, you know, the virgin or the whore. But she is like sexual and sensual and also like a death deity, and then also has this whimsical chariot of cats. And, you know, there's like really fun stories with her. And so if you're ever been interested, you know, look her up and just like put down like a little something for her on that Friday. But Friday is also Venus Day. So if you work with Venus or Aphrodite, then like it's a love day. It's a self-care day. So it's a perfect day to do that. 13 for witches is lucky. So it's lucky 13, but definitely do something witchy that day. I always loved it. I always felt excited when it was Friday 13th. Partly because I love the cheesy horror movies as well. So we have that coming. So that's, you know, we don't have any major moon stuff this week, but we have that. So if you want to do, I would take it as like a self-love, self-care, nourishing. I would do something like that day. I haven't decided what I'm doing yet, but that's what I would suggest as far as a ritual goes. And then let's talk about the energy. If you listen to astrologers or you read anything about astrology, they have been talking about February being like really weird and intense because of all these planetary shifts that we have. And, you know, it's like planetary shifts that we haven't seen since like the Civil War. You know, it's like all this intense kind of Aries, god of war kind of energy. And so, and we also will have Mercury retrograde at the end of, let me make sure. Yeah, Mercury retrograde on February 25th. So we have just kind of like it's like a weird energy this month. And I feel like I'm already feeling it. Everyone I talk to is feeling like a heaviness, an anxiety or a depression. It's like different than the normal winter blues. There's like a little more to it. And of course, there's a lot going on in the news. So I think for the energy of this month or this week too, but I would really focus and am focusing on hope and self-care. Like each day I'm trying to find one thing that makes me feel hopeful, because I feel like hope is a form of protest and hope is a muscle, and we have to practice, we have to strengthen it, just like gratitude. And so I'm focusing on hope. I also, when I had my psychic reading for the year ahead, my friend Laura was like, the angels of hope are coming in really strong for everybody right now. And that was just also gave me hope. That was really beautiful. So I think, you know, and even if you don't work with angels, just saying something like, may the spirit of hope find me, you know, that could be part of your daily prayer or affirmation. I am hopeful, or I have hope, because it really, when we lose hope, it's like we lose everything, really. You know, so I would say I'm focusing on hope this week. I would also say focusing on dreams. You know, in our coven, some of us are keeping a dream journal, but we're also focusing, you know, winter time in some Native American stories is like the time of the lizard, and the lizard is dreaming. And so the lizard is the dreamer, and he's dreaming like parts of his life. And so we look at February as a dreaming time. You know, we're dreaming the rest of the year for ourselves. And then the other energy I would say is, you know, this Friday the 13th energy, which is magical and kind of whimsical, kind of silly. I think it's really important right now to invite in hope and to invite in joy, and to invite in nourishment. You know, we have Super Bowl today. And so like for us, we always watch it, even though my daughter and I have no idea what's happening in the games. We always are there for the halftime show and the snacks. So I'm making 7-layer dip, which is like a fan favorite. And then usually my husband makes vanilla ice cream and then do root beer floats. But this year he's like, I want to bake a cake. So I was like, I'm not going to stop you. Like, let's do that. So, you know, having reasons to celebrate, having reasons to have fun. We have Lunar New Year's coming up next week. So, you know, looking into that, there's this whole trend on TikTok that everybody's Chinese now. And so really, you know, I grew up with a really close friend who's Chinese, and there was never this sense of like, you can't celebrate Lunar New Year's because you're not you're white. It was never a sense of like offense about that. It was always like, yeah, you can celebrate Lunar New Year's. And she would share stuff with me and explain things. So look into it. It can be a really fun experience. We started celebrating it as a family during COVID because we just started looking for reasons to do fun things during COVID because it's like was really boring. And so we researched it and talked about it, and then we eat noodles for longevity. It was like a whole thing. So yeah, it's just something fun to look into. I think, really focusing on what is fun for you at this time. Right now I have all of my seeds that I'll be planting on my altar, and I will be asking like under the new moon for them to be blessed and for them to grow into beautiful, healthy plants. So if you have your seeds, you might want to do that. If you don't have your seeds, you might want to start looking at what you are going to plant this year. I ended up getting a bunch of free seeds, so I'm going to use what I have. And speaking of that, I talked about this in our Coven, but technically I'm an influencer. I don't really like that word. And I do get free things to make content on TikTok. And I want you to understand that that is hard for me to do. Like, it brings in my family a small supplemental income, which is why I do it, because I don't, authors don't make that much money. Let me just be honest with you. And so anything I can do to bring money into the family and the household and to add to, our living and be able to, do something fun because I made a little extra money means a lot. And so there's a part of me that like struggles with that because I'm not very materialistic, and in my own life, like we do a lot of secondhand shopping and we do a lot of like buying used books and going to the library, and then online I'm like, I got this brand new book, but I definitely try to only pick products that I would like actually use for the most part. And I also try not to be like, you need this thing when I make these videos. I just really try to see each item I get as like, what's the best part of this and who would probably benefit from having it. That's how I look at it. And then I just create the video from there. And so definitely don't get influenced by me is what I'm trying to say. I think if you watch the videos, you can tell by the inflection in my voice whether or not I really love the product and would actually buy it myself, or I just love sharing about it because I got it for free. I think you can tell. So I'm not a liar, definitely. I never lie. I never will be like, this is the best thing ever if I don't feel that way, or I love it so much if I don't feel that way, or it's my favorite tarot right now if I don't feel that way. I will present it as honestly as possible. So read between the lines is what I'm trying to say. And please do that with all influencers. A lot of social media content is created because someone is getting paid to create it, or because they receive something free to create it. They're making money somehow to create it. So just be smart about it. Really, sometimes we want to get influenced. Like sometimes we're like, I'm looking for a new blank and I'm going to go online and I'm going to see all the different versions of this item and let people tell me their opinions. I'm going to read reviews. I'm going to see pictures. I'm going to see how other people use it. We want to be influenced because it's like there's an overwhelming amount of choices now that it's like, okay, I don't even know which whatever thing to get. So, sometimes we're looking for that. But when you're not looking for that, definitely don't let yourself fall into the trap, and something that helps me is with online shopping is I put the items in the cart and then I leave them there for 24 hours. And then most of the time I go back and I'm like, I don't want this thing. It's like I got caught up in the moment. I do try to shop in person as much as possible, but I live in a pretty small town and we don't even have our local, we don't have a Target or a Walmart or anything. We have something called a Buy Mart, which is so ugly inside. It's like old Kmart. But because of that, I hardly spend any extra money. Because I go in there and I'm like, ugh, the aesthetic is not pleasing. My little Venus self is like, oh, this is so ugly in here, and I just can't wait to get out. So it's really good, actually, really good on the wallet. But yeah, I do try to buy things in person small local, we have a lot of cool local shops, or secondhand, especially gifts. I try to buy like from artisans and things like that. But yeah, with online shopping, TikTok shopping, leave it in your cart for a full 24 hours and then go back, and chances are you'll be like, I don't want that. I don't want this thing. The only thing that never happens with is books. A lot of times I'll go back and I'm like, nope, I still want this book. But the whole family's like that. Everybody's a reader in my household, and everybody loves to collect books. Like, we love it. And we give away a lot of our books. We're like big in the, like, donating to Little Free Libraries and then getting books from Little Free Libraries. We're also, my husband and daughter both have accounts of the used bookstore exchange, and they love to go and like drop off all the books they read but don't want to read again, and then get money and then buy more books. So yeah, that's something my kids also have figured out over the years. That's the one thing I won't say no to. If like we're out shopping and they're like, oh, can I get this book? I'll be like, yeah. Like I've never, like we have like all the Nick Roll Bad Kitties, because I'm like, these Bad Kitty books are amazing and he's a really good person. And I'm like, yeah, let's buy it. Why not? So I just wanted to kind of share that, because I shared that in our Coven, and a lot of people were like, thank you for saying that. Thank you for saying like, this is a part of your income, because it is. It's a part of my income. I'm being upfront about that. And, you know, a lot of people who are content creators, they're getting paid to say what they're saying or do what they're doing. And some of them aren't fully honest, because if you're not fully honest, sometimes you can make more money. Like if I say this is the best thing ever, I could totally sell more products, but I refuse to do that. I do have my limits, and sometimes I'll get a product and be like, oh my gosh, like what was I thinking? But then I'm like, I know who to give it to. So they get given away. I never sell anything that I receive. If it doesn't click for me, I give it to somebody, or I donate it to a lot of like my card decks that I don't resonate with go to Little Free Libraries. And I think about like, I always imagine like some teenager being like, jackpot, you know? Yeah. Okay. So let's go on to journal questions. First one is, what kind of self-care are you going to do this week? I'd like you to just commit to something. Going outside for a walk, baking brownies, doing a face mask, listening to a favorite album, right? What are you dreaming about? And that could be really or not, or like daydreaming. And then and this is just kind of a fun one. What are your feelings on the symbolism of mouse or rat? Because, you know, in this card deck, just like in the T deck, it's also like a rat is a sneaky person. So, and I always think of that White Stripes song, I Think I Smell a Rat. So if you don't know that song, look it up. But what is your feeling, like your own personal association with mouse or rat? And that's kind of, I think, will help understand the card for the week. And then last one, is there someone in your life who you feel is questionable, either moral compass or questionable motives? And if so, who? And hopefully it's not you. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, I hope you have a great week. And if you haven't done so, catch me on the Movie Coven, because it's really fun. It's called Witch's Movie Coven. It's just an hour, and definitely like look up a favorite movie, and then I don't know, I think you'll have fun, because we all vote at the end on whether or not we like it, and sometimes you'll be surprised. So anyway, have a great week. Blessed be. As always, thank you for listening. Please subscribe and share with a friend. And be on the lookout for my books, Spirit Crystals, Discover Your Crystal Guide for Healing and Empowerment, and Divergent Witchcraft, an inclusive approach to making magic. And if you want to connect with me more, go to jennycbell.com, JennyCbell.com, to learn about our Coven, to learn how to follow me on Substack, and also how to get a reading from me. Blessed be witches.